Hello, everybody. Welcome to Know Your Money. I'm Bronwyn Weiner.
And I'm Craig Finch, and we are from Growth Financial Planning. We hope you enjoy our podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Know Your Money. Justin, thank you so much for coming here. And Craig, hello again.
Hello, Bronwyn.
Thanks for having me
Good
again.
to see you again.
Absolutely.
Making it a habit.
Yes.
So,
habit.
Justin, you have a day in your life that was absolutely ordinary, and it changed into something extraordinary from what you experienced. Do you want to maybe just share that and how that's changed your life or given the direction to where you are with your career and your business?
So it was definitely a very ordinary day. And I think the key point here is I was 24 years old.
Okay.
Average 24-year-old guy.
Married, not married?
Not married. I was going out with my wife, but we weren't married yet. And I had spent a weekend up in Johannesburg to visit my family. I know the day exactly. It was the 6th of August. And had a lovely stay. And I was heading back to Howick, where I was doing my internship. I got in the car, drove home. I left quite late. It's only a 4.5-hour drive to Howick. And I left Johannesburg probably a little too late because I was going to drive in the dark. But, you know, you're young, you're strong, you've got great eyesight, everything's going to go well. And I went through the Vol Plaza, and it was at the stage before the trucks had chevron coating on the side of the trailers. And I was driving, I wasn't breaking the speed limit. I was 120 kilometers an hour. The sun had just set, and I saw the truck facing me correctly in the fast lane on the opposite traffic. And then when I was less than 100 meters away, going at 120 kilometers away, I saw that the trailer was across the other two lanes of traffic, which I was driving in. Mm. And in a split second, it's true, you see your life flash through your eyes. I thought it was all over. I had a few expletives come out of my mouth, but I was extremely calm, which was quite unusual. And literally a few seconds later, I woke up underneath the truck. And I know it was a few seconds later because when I started opening my door, which I couldn't open on the driver's side, I crawled through the passenger side. The driver hadn't got out his cockpit yet.
Sure.
And I was outside and I approached the driver. He approached me, asked if I was okay. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I looked at the car and I said, dude, we need to put my hazards on as quickly as possible because someone else is going to hit this vehicle. And I climbed back into the car and saw that there was no more car. Literally, how I crawled out is a miracle in itself. But my whole car was squashed. The battery, the engine was smashed. And literally, I've got a big scar on the side of my neck here. And that's where a piece of metal from the truck caught me. And that was the only damage that I have to my whole body. I had 12 stitches in my neck. But I got out and then I am a bit queasy. And I went like this and I saw the blood. And I was like, oh, I'm bleeding. And then said, I need to sit down. So I walked off the highway, off the N3, sat in the bushes. And moments later, I heard the horrible sound of screeching brakes as another car hit from the other side. Mm. And that family wasn't as lucky as me. The entire family was decapitated.
That's not word.
I said, yeah. So the whole family was decapitated. I was like lying now. I think shock was starting to set in. I had phoned home. I told my wife or girlfriend then, Charlene or Minnie, and my mom and dad. I got 2 phone calls in. And before my battery was flat, typical students, you don't have your battery at full thing. And I said, don't worry, I'm fine, but I've been in accidents. And this is probably where I'm going to go, Heidelberg Hospital. And I think at that stage, a pivotal moment in my life, I didn't know what the reason was. You often have, they call it, the opposite to why me. So some people say, why do bad things happen to me? But there's another syndrome where I was in a bad situation. Why didn't something bad happen to me?
Sure.
So I suffered from that from a little bit. You start questioning, what's my purpose and stuff like that. And it wore off. After a couple of years, it wore off. And then literally, so that happened in 2001. Literally in 2020, sometime 2023, I suddenly realized, I think I know why that happened. So at that stage it happened, I was studying to be a biokineticist. I am a biokineticist, and I always wanted to work with high-profile sports teams, the clean, the glory stuff, the nice stuff. But my path put me on a trajectory where I started falling in love with working with physically disabled people who had sustained head injuries, stroke, spinal cord injury. And the moment I walked into the place when I changed my career path in England, I realized, I looked across the room and I realized I could have been one of these guys.
Sure.
Any one of these people in this room.
What year was that when you were in the UK?
So my story is slightly disjointed. Yeah. So in 2001, I had the accident. In 2003, I was in the UK and I was trying to look for this high-profile career. Actually, I didn't work with David Beckham, but my company worked with David Beckham, and I was like, that's the stuff I want to do. I want to be with the footballers and stuff. And I don't want to get too spiritual because it's not really a spiritual podcast, but God had a different route for me. And I landed up at a brain injury unit applying for a job that wasn't for me. I was working as a rehabilitation assistant, so a specialist. That was my title in England. And I saw a job advertised for a rehabilitation assistant. I went and applied for it. This is also an interesting part of the story. I went to apply for it, and the lady says to me, sorry, Justin, your CV looks good, but you know what a rehabilitation assistant is? And I said, no, I don't. She said, well, this is a brain injury place. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. So she said, well, you would be required to be a male nurse. So you can help feed our guys, you're going to clean the nappies of the adults, and you're going to be a male nurse. And I said, yeah, that's not really what I wanted to do, but I do have some experience. My grandparents grew old, I watched them grow old, and I helped them walk a little bit. That would be the basis of my experience. And she said, yeah, so this is not really the job for you, but I'm going to send your CV down to the medical department. So I was like, okay, so let's see what happens. I barely got home. My phone rang. They wanted to interview me for a job that I didn't apply for. And the guy who interviewed me, his name was Ted LeBrock. And the cool part of the story is he was Princess Di's physiotherapist.
Sure.
And we get talking. And by the end of the conversation, he says, we've never had one of you, meaning a biokineticist, work for us. I think we'd like to try it out. And I got a job working with brain injured people.
Wow.
And that's the moment I realized that I could have been any one of these guys. And in one of our previous...
That's when your purpose...
Yeah, it suddenly had purpose. And Craig alluded to, how quickly it can happen and how you treat individuals who have head injuries. I think at that moment I realized, how would I like to be treated? Because now I could have been in that wheelchair.
Yeah.
And so everything just fell into place and a passion developed inside me. And then as we said in the previous episode, we developed TNT, and I realized that some people need money to do this, and we developed TNT. And so from an ordinary day leaving home, an extraordinary something happened, which put my life on an extraordinary trajectory that I never imagined. And it didn't all happen at once. There were moments when you see, the puzzles fitting together. This happened there, and purpose became evident. And that leads me on to another story where sometimes you go through life, and sometimes only when the circle's completed and you look back and you're like, hey, there's a thread right through the story. And in 2018, I met a guy by the name of Gabriel. And Gabriel was a youngster who, we're going to stick with the theme of an ordinary day. He went out to do motocross, and he hit a jump and the bike landed skew, and he broke his back. And a young, early 20s man, all of a sudden life was dashed, and now he's in a wheelchair. And he met me shortly after I'd completed a Cape Epic. And he said to me, Justin, I'm in a wheelchair, but I can't live in a wheelchair. I need purpose. Let's do a crazy event. So I said, cool. I said, we'll do the Joburg to Sea, which is a cycle race, a mountain bike race from Heidelberg all the way to Scottsboro. It's 900 kilometers of mountain biking over 9 days. And he was going to do it in an assisted hand cycle. So it's an e-bike, and he was going to be the first man in the world to complete an event like that. So we trained for it. We got to the start. Sorry, we didn't get to start. COVID happened. They postponed the event. In 2022, we got to the event, and we started the event, and it was just, this whole hype, hand cycle on this event. So every cyclist goes past us. And by day 2, Gabriel becomes quite the celebrity, because here he's ground level, just grinding away. But that year was the start of this whole weird stuff where we got so much rain in South Africa, and literally the whole route through the Free State was mud. And we had to go from Rates to Sterkfontein, and the rain poured extra hard that day. So what would have been 120 kilometers in probably, we would have averaged close to 20 kilometers an hour. So 6-hour day became a 9-10-hour day in the cycle. And because it's an e-bike, it works on batteries. And we had planned it, everything, but the mud charged the batteries a little bit faster than they should have. So we got to 7 kilometers to go, and it's on that Sterkfontein Dam wall. The mud's extra thick, and Gabriel's batteries run out. That bike's heavy. It's almost impossible to hand cycle without battery assistance. So purely by luck, there's a medical tent just ahead of us. So I cycle up to the medical tent and I say, do you guys by any chance have a rope for us? And they know us now because they've been following the routes. I say, yeah, sure, just give it back to us later tonight in case we need it, and we need it for our inventory. So Karen and myself tie the rope onto Gabriel's bike, and we literally take turns. So Gabriel's assisting, but we take turns to tow him home for the last 7 kilometers. A standing ovation. Gabriel gets a hero's welcome as we come in, as the sun sets in over the Sterkfontein, and it's a real special moment. And that in itself had repercussions that we only found out later. And you would be going for a cycle a year or two later in the cradle, and someone would come and say to Gabriel, you were the guy who inspired me to finish that race. When I saw you finish on that day, I was like, what are my excuses? I finished the race. So, and we hear often of those stories of that day, that Gabriel finished the toughest day. But little did I know what an impact that story would have later on. So Trojan's Neurological Trust took on another beneficiary, a guy by the name of Wiseman. Also a young man. He was helping his family out one day, and he had an accident falling off a ladder, and he broke his back in mid-spine. And once again, we set out, like we said in the previous episode, we'd like to give the guys goals. And Wiseman asked him if he would like to do the 947 one day. And he said he would love to. We were donated a hand cycle. It's very similar to Gabriel's. And Wiseman says to me, he says, am I going to be riding with Gabriel? I said, yeah, you're going to be riding with Gabriel. And he's just this massive smile. He says, Gabriel's has inspired me since my injury. I've been watching his recovery. He's like my hero. I'm going to be riding with Gabriel. And Wiseman is now pumped. I mean, he was a boxer anyway, so he's got guns like this. And he's so excited that he's going to be doing the 947.
Sure.
And last year we get to the 947, and the Trojans Neurological Trust, big packed, our biggest amounts ever. We got 4 hand cyclists, and we're doing this event, and it's literally Wiseman's second time on the bike because we've just got everything fixed up. And we reach Wits, which is only 20 k's into the ride, and Wiseman's first battery's flat. So now we're joking with him because we don't take that seriously at the moment. Gabriel says, listen, Wiseman, I don't do this thing just on the battery power. You need to actually move your arms. You can't just be... So they have some banter. They laugh at each other. And then Gabriel says, I'm going to stick with you, and I want to teach you how to use this properly so the batteries can last. So we had 3 batteries. We're down 1 battery. We get to Kailami, which is roughly 40 k's in. The second battery's flat. And we're on what would be... the mine shaft, but we're going up the mine shaft. I pull Gabriel and Wiseman to the side. We're trying to touch the 3rd battery, and unfortunately, the 3rd battery doesn't work.
Oh, no.
So we're faced with a massive issue now. We're not even at halfway. We're just the side of halfway. It's Wiseman's second time on a bike, and he's not going to finish it. There's no way he can do this without the battery. So in retrospect, was silly, and I look at Wiseman and I get on my phone, and Gabriel looks at me and says, who are you phoning and why are you phoning? So I said, I'm phoning my assistant, Caitlin, to bring a bakkie so we can load Wiseman's bike into the bakkie. He can take him to the finish line. You know, maybe we pull him out a kilometer from the end and he can come in with the TNT train. And Gabriel looks at me and he says, dude, are you mad? And I say, you know why? He says, remember what you guys did for me in 22. So I recall the event where we towed him. So I say, yeah, so I remember. So Gabriel says, well, we're going to...
Sorry.
We're going to tow Wiseman in. So I shake my head, I look at Gabriel and I say, what do you mean we're towing Wiseman in? So he says, no, coincidentally, I bought a tow rope.
Well done.
And he says, that rope you bought, we're going to use it. I said, Gabriel, it's 53 kilometers to the finish.
Yeah.
It's 947. And Gabriel says, I'm towing him in.
Sure.
And we hooked the two up, and Gabriel proceeded to tow Wiseman to finish the race. And
you guys finished?
we finished. We were safe.
Towed by his hero.
Amazing.
Every time there was a downhill, we unhitched them because they would be too dangerous because they come down flying. I mean, those guys who pick up rubbish and go down the William Nicol and stuff, there will be a similar situation. And we finished in 6 hours to an absolute standing ovation. The crowd was there. And as you said, Bron, the Wiseman was towed by his hero. And for me, it was just amazing to see the complete loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
No, it's absolutely incredible. And just the power of goals and the power of teamwork and the power of like a hero, you know. Yeah. A hero changes your life. And it's so important to focus on that. And you are a hero to so many people in what you do. And we need more people like this in the world, honestly.
Yeah, brilliant, Justin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin.
Keep on doing the work because we know. Great.
Thank you for having me to share these stories.
And we'll have you again. There's many more stories we can tell. There's plenty. Just thanks so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time and everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, would like to subscribe, please visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.